How's it going, everybody? C-RadTV back here in another video, and of course it's time for another Detroit Lions 2026 NFL Draft Preview. So in the last draft preview, we took a look at some of the top Day 3 linebacker prospects for rounds 4 through 7 of the 2026 NFL Draft Class. And in this video, this will be the final Lions draft preview for the 2026 draft, as we will take a look at the top Day 3 defensive back and safety prospects for rounds 4 through 7 of the draft. The final draft video for 2026, so we'll go look at some of these prospects for Day 3 and see who the Lions should keep an eye on. So, let's go. Starting off with defensive backs and cornerbacks, the first one we're going to go over here, hailing out of Ohio State, standing 6'2", weighing 195 pounds. We got Davison Igbinosun. That last name's a bit of a tongue twister, no, but anyway, for Davison's strengths, great traits for an outside corner type. Not many folks in this class have. Really long arms, great top speed that can push him higher after testing. Physical as all hell, for better or worse. Super impressive in run defense. Great downhill trigger. Can absolutely smoke some of his competition with a big hit. Secure tackler. Wraps up well. Doesn't let breakaway plays happen if he can help it. Good lateral agility and quick. Flashy movements. Help him carry receivers across the middle of the field. In terms of weaknesses, though, he had some really intense penalty concerns his junior year. Just way too grabby as a defender. Doesn't have the panache to cover up his issues. Has limited turnover upside because he does not like to turn his head to track the ball. Sort of just throws his hands around without thinking. Stiffer in the lower body than most of his corner counterparts in this class. Doesn't have the good footwork and lacks the hip flexibility of top NFL players. Gonna need some time to develop better technique. In terms of his NFL compares, he's been compared to Marcus Cooper to Kansas City Chiefs. Overall, a lot of things like I got Davidson's game, a few things to clean up, and maybe someone to keep an eye on for sure. That's depth. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Duke, standing 5'8", weighing 184 pounds, we got Chandler Rivers. So for Chandler's strengths, highly touted for his consistent production, steady play. Despite his size, has no problem with looking for big hits, asserts his authority on receivers. Exceptional closing speed. Receiver gains separation, bringing on a route, immediately erases the gap. While he's almost always smaller than the receivers he's guarding, has the physicality to stick to his assignments. Reliable tackler when he wraps up well, which will be necessary for him in the NFL. Phenomenal instincts in both man and zone coverage. In terms of weaknesses, though, he's a very small corner, simply put. Sub 30-inch arms, weight around 180. Gonna struggle with the physicality NFL, bigger receivers. There will always be some matchups he won't be able to guard due to his size, which will prevent him from being a team's #1 aggressive play style that can make him susceptible to double moves. But you'll need to do a better job at recognizing. Occasionally gets a little too handsy at the top of the route, which can occasionally draw penalties. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to DJ Reed of the Detroit Lions. Overall, a lot of things to look at Chandler's game, but definitely some size limitations for sure. But maybe someone as a rotational depth piece, maybe. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Iowa, standing 6 feet tall, weighing 183 pounds, we got TJ Hall. So for TJ's strengths, smart processor, recognition of passing concepts positions him correctly within zone schemes. Good instincts, reading the QB's eyes, anticipates throws before breaks. Elite run defender, excellent physicality, play strength. Shows the toughness at catch point, competing through receivers. Varies jam technique to disrupt timing at the line of scrimmage. Excellent against slants, uses anticipation to win before receivers separate. Fundamentally sound, defending vertical release and comeback routes. High character competitor. In terms of weaknesses, though, recovery speed's a concern against NFL vertical threats, struggles to maintain hip positioning through SEM, allows receivers to gain leverage. Senior Bowl performance show conscious effort addressing technical concerns, though whether improvement will translate to sustainable change or a permanent ceiling remains a question. His grabby technique won't survive NFL officiating, loses releases, crossing his face due to lack of lateral quickness. Not comfortable turning or locating the ball downfield. Struggles tackling over his shoulder. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Cam Taylor, bred of the Cincinnati Bengals. Overall, a lot of things to look at TJ's game, but a few things he's going to have to clean up and be more disciplined at. But I think it's someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Tennessee, standing 6 feet tall, weighing 187 pounds, we got Jalen McMurray. So for Jalen's strengths, great burst off the snap, immediately accelerates the top speed. Shows good man coverage technique, keeps close to his matchup. Keeps hands fighting to the level it needs to be without forcing pass interference penalties. Good hoops, able to go up, can get it and climb the ladder to make plays on the ball before it gets to the receiver. Decent pass deflection rate, good length to win one-on-ones, solid coverage skills in the red zone, able to hold his ground against elusive players at close quarters without any trouble. In terms of weaknesses, though, not always proficient against receivers with great release packages. Can be beat with physicality, limit immediately off the snap. Needs to take better angles of the ball in order to make tackles in the right area. Doesn't always play all out in pursuit of the ball carrier either. Needs to show better hustle and run support to be a full-time corner you feel comfortable playing. Reportedly had a serious injury in December last year that he was able to play through, but maybe a guy to look at medically. Back pedal can be a little clunky. In terms of NFL comparisons, he's big compared to B.W. Webb of the Dallas Cowboys. Overall, a lot of things to like out of Jalen's game. A few things to clean up and could have some health concerns, even though he did play through the injury, which may make it not look as serious as some hype it out to be. But definitely maybe something to keep an eye on. You know, maybe someone worth taking a gamble on for depth. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Stanford, standing 6 feet tall, weighing 195 pounds. We got Colin Wright. So for Colin's strengths, extremely smooth, fluid athlete, great hip flexibility, agile movements, carries his man well down the field, even when beat, shows good recovery in order to get back into the play. Thanks to being able to tap into a second gear of acceleration. Mirrors the wide receiver well, has good instincts, knowing when to close on a player to get in the way of the ball. Also, no slouch in run defense, able to make secure tackles. Quickly move downfield to stop powerful running backs or scrambling QBs in their tracks. In terms of weaknesses, though, he tends to get bullied by size, making nickel perhaps his best fit. He got given the business by current NFL player Savion Williams in 2024 tape. Doesn't show good press technique, gets outplayed physically at every stage of the rep. Not a great zone player, lacks eye discipline, seems hyperactive in the back end of the defense. Likely the reason he was moved from safety. Unimpressive back pedal, choppy, unbalanced footwork, carries down the route, contributes to lacking pressability. In terms of his NFL comparisons, he's been compared to Nate Hairston of the Indianapolis Colts. Overall, there are some positives out of his game. A lot of things to clean up, though. But, you know, maybe if someone has a rotational piece at nickel, maybe. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Washington, standing 6'3", weighing 190 pounds. We got Epesian's Prysock. Yeah, that name's a bit of a tongue twister, I know. But anyway, for Ep's strengths, premium outside size, length that could be developed in one of the best bodies in the corner position. Shows quality mirroring ability. Despite his size, he can match up with receivers both down the route and when receivers get shifty. Quickly gets his hands up to knock down passes in his vicinity. Good press technique, jams well at the line, allows him to keep pace with receivers despite any speed inefficiencies he might have. Great tackling skills, uses length well to bring down players without trouble. In terms of weaknesses, though, has some tough hips that seem rusty, give him trouble turning. Doesn't track the ball well, rarely turn PBUs into turnovers, only generating 2 interceptions during his college career. Some of his flashy numbers are just dropped interceptions, which, while not the end of the world, it may frustrate some coaches. Doesn't have much versatility aside from the outside corner position, which takes him off the board for teams that already have their depth filled out. In terms of his NFL comparisons, he's been compared to Joshua Williams of the Kansas City Chiefs. Overall, a lot of things to like out of Epps' game. You know, great size. You know, does a lot of good things here. You know, I think someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Texas A&M, standing 5'10", weighing 180 pounds. We got Tyreek Chappell. So for Tyreek's strengths, elite burst, acceleration, ranks among the fastest defenders on the field, immediate closing speed. Smooth, confident back pedal, fluid transitions in either direction. Maintains optimal position when he tracks receivers vertically. Quick twitch mirror skills allows him to shadow receivers through route stems, match sun direction, changes step for step. Natural timing, reading the QB's eyes, breaks on patterns underneath while anticipating the throwing windows. Workable build for modern nickel role. In terms of his weaknesses, though, missed tackles remains a problematic throughout his career. He never demonstrated meaningful improvement in this fundamental area. Lacks ideal play strength to shred blocks and run support and gets engulfed when SWAT receivers and tight ends work him over in traffic. Run defense represents a glaring deficiency. He gets washed out laterally, struggles to trigger downhill or defeat blockers at the point of attack. Extensive history of injuries and alignments that plus undersized frame raises legitimate durability concerns. In terms of NFL comparisons, he's been compared to Corn Elder to Carolina Panthers. There are a lot of things to like out of his game, but definitely some health Definitely some health issues and injury history. I think there are better options to look at for corner. I'd say pass on him. And the last corner we'll look at before we move on to safeties, we have hailing out of Toledo, standing 6'2", weighing 202 pounds. We got Andre Fuller. So for Andre's strengths, ideal length, physicality for a boundary corner. Uses his tall frame to disrupt receivers at the line, compress through windows. Safety background, shows an aggressive run support, downhill trigger to make plays in the box. Forces high numbers of incompletions through size, timing, ball tracking skills. Shows sticky coverage reps and clean, quiet footwork. Runs routes alongside receivers in both man and zone coverage. Has spectacular Shrine Bowl special teams work, which demonstrates roster value beyond defense. In terms of weaknesses, though, older prospect whose development timeline may have peaked. He had limited power 4 exposure, which restricts projection against elite receivers. Not as crisp in movements as natural corner. Shows adequate rather than elite change of direction skills. Hip fluidity for his height. Press technique, jam placement, staying with vertical releases need refinement. He missed 2024 with injury, adding durability concerns. His lax, twitched up short area burst, reactive quickness to consistency, wins against elite route runners or double move specialists. In terms of his NFL comparisons, he's been compared to Miles Battle in the New England Patriots. Overall, a lot of things to like out of his game. Some injury concerns for sure, but then also some special teams experience too, which adds some versatility. I think maybe someone worth taking a gamble with. Now moving on to safeties. The first one we're going to go over here, hailing out of LSU, standing 5'11", weighing 222 pounds. You got AJ Halsey. So for AJ, he's your prototype build safety because he has the body type of a linebacker, uses his size as an advantage, consistently explodes on the contact with the ball carrier. In terms of his strengths, Superman-level strength when he lays down big hits, can jostle free a ball if given the chance, rarely lifts on a tackle. Has some history of major ball production, even though that took a step back this year. But he's willing to do whatever it takes to break up a play. On the field all the time, rarely leaves, plays with such intensity, it's hard not to notice him when the ball isn't coming his way. In terms of weaknesses, though, not a lot of burst or long speed for Halsey. Sluggish across the field. Needs to be perfectly in position to not allow big plays if he's out of zone. Not always the best safety valve for long passes or runs. Should develop better eye discipline. Pick the right hole more often when asked to run defend. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to former Las Vegas Raider, Oakland Raider, Larry Asante. Overall, a lot of things like out of AJ's game. Very physical. Does some good things right. Definitely someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of USC, standing 6 feet tall, weighing 205 pounds, we got Kamari Ramsey. So for Kamari's strengths, instinctual safety, easily deciphers play fake screens as they progress. Footwork's picturesque, shifts his movement from side to side of a back pedal, breaking to attack the catch point in an instant. While he's not physically imposing, he's rarely overwhelmed when matched up with tight ends, matching their physicality. He'll always watch the eyes of QB while flowing in the direction of play, which can put him in position for interceptions. He took the green dot role for USC this year, which is a sign of his leadership and intelligence. In terms of weaknesses, though, if he's matched up in the slot, he can give up plays deep due to his middling long speed, which might force him to play farther off the line. Furthermore, struggles to accelerate when he flips his hips, which combined with his long speed will make him a liability for a receiver can get past him. He's a willing tackler. His technique will need to be cleaned up at the next level, typically resorting to wrapping at the shoulder pads and attempting to slam down players. He lacks the sideline-to-sideline range to play as a single high safety. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Javon Bullard to the Green Bay Packers. Overall, a lot of things to like out of Kamari's game. A few things to clean up, but I think someone to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Penn State, standing 6'2", weighing 192 pounds, we got Saki Wheatley. So for Saki's strengths, long stride, smooth movement, make for a gazelle-like athlete, able to get around the field without trouble. Effective downhill, able to navigate through contact to get to the ball. Strong tackler, able to finish the reps at all times. He really puts a lot of effort into getting a guy on the ground. A safety valve in its purest form. In terms of weaknesses, though, for a guy that was nicknamed the Takeaway Kid in college, his 2025 tape showed a lot of major lapses in zone coverage. He doesn't keep his head forward when moving around the field. Ball tracking seems to have taken a step back. Not going to be a guy who makes call-outs and reads before the snap. More a reactive player. His length is just okay for his height. In terms of his pro comparison, he's big compared to Lewis Sign and the DC Defenders in the UFL. Overall, a lot of things to like out of Saki's game. But, you know, definitely based on 2025 tape, he's got to find a way to live up to that turnover takeaway Kane nickname he got in college. But even despite that, I still think he's still definitely someone to keep an eye on, regardless if he lives up to that takeaway Kane nickname or not. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Kansas State, standing 6'3", weighing 210 pounds, we got VJ Payne. Silver VJ strengths, top-notch athlete, great range across the field, able to track the ball carrier, make his way to him with haste. Agility allows him to adjust the fakes, play action quickly, not get juked out by double moves or late directional changes. Plays the ball, not the receiver, can turn underneath thrown passes into turnovers. Plays all over the field, loves the run defense where he can knock a guy over. Makes it particularly effective on the blitz where he has strong tackle for loss numbers to go to sole tackles. He can hit 23.4 miles per hour in practice, according to coaches. In terms of weaknesses, though, refuses to wrap up when ready to make a tackle. More interested in, again, a big hit than actually securing the guy, bringing him to the ground. Results in a lot of missed tackles to the point where he's better served with assistance by the other safety than being a man on an island. Lacking the pass coverage instincts that are made up for by athleticism, but limits his ceiling to being a reactive player instead of a proactive player. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Trey Flowers, who played on a number of several teams, at least 7 NFL teams. But overall, a lot of things like out of VJ's game. Very physical. He's going to have to learn to get better at tackling instead of just laying the boom, too. You know, you got to tackle while you do that, too. But I still think someone to keep an eye on under the right coaching. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of SMU, standing 6'1", weighing 205 pounds. We got Isaiah Nwakobobia. Yeah, that last name's a bit of a tongue twister. But anyway, for Isaiah's strengths, incredibly intense player, really impressive motor. Flies around the field, seems able to get anywhere he wants without effort. Strong instincts both in coverage and in finding lanes to get to where he wants. Great eyes for the ball. Racks up deflections, picks every year. Had a year where he took it to the house twice, showed off his impressive speed. Good tackler with no security issues. Hard hitter, can nail a runner, jar the ball free if given the runway. In terms of weaknesses, though, he plays faster on the tape than he does in testing. Has some questionable athletic markings in his history. Not particularly twitchy, has issues changing direction. Not a natural seeming mover. Looks uncoordinated, doesn't always seem in control of his body. Sometimes flies around the field without a care in the world. Not seeming to look around for players on the ball. Not always able to call out the play, shift around the defense. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to former Oakland, Las Vegas Raider Larry Asante. Overall, a lot of things to like out of Isaiah's game. Few things to clean up, but someone I think to keep an eye on for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Ole Miss, standing 6'2", weighing 210 pounds. We got Wyatt Williams Jr., Silver wide at strengths, consistently communicates getting defense aligned properly, demonstrates leadership, quarterbacking, the secondary, emphasizing it all starts with communication on the back end, and that is true. Communication is always key in everything you do in life and in football. Helping the unit improve dramatically throughout the season. Showed reasonable recovery, agility, ability, trusting, speed, and preventing long touchdowns against ultra-fast Brennan Thompson, if you want to watch the tape there. Uses frame effectively, arrives under control, limiting screens from deep safety spot. Solid disengaging from blocks, takes on larger ball carriers. Finds himself in right position through solid understanding of concepts and opponents. He led the team with 3 interceptions and 10 passes defended, displaying ball production. Has special teams contributor, which provides coverage versatility. In terms of weaknesses, though, he needs better awareness of blockers getting too locked in on the ball carrier. Questions remain whether he possesses fluidity and quick feet, which stays on top of toughest assignments, testing him deep, but concerns staying with quicker slots like Malaki Tooney. Does it function as a natural ally filler from deep like top prospects? Hesitancy breaking all routes in the zone, attacking ball carriers as the last line of defense. He's slow out of breaks, needing a couple steps after triggering, reducing effectiveness, closing window. He lacks the versatility, projecting as a reliable backup without a clear path to every down roll. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's compared to Terrell Edmonds of the Las Vegas Raiders. Overall, a lot of things like out of Wyatt's game, you know, a great leader of men, has some great communication skills. I think someone to keep an eye on for sure, no doubt. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of Maryland, standing 6 feet tall, weighing 199 pounds. We got Jalen Husky. So for J1 strengths, sure tackler, doesn't often need assistance. Only saw one missed tackle on game tape. It was a leaping effort on that missed tackle. Good power behind his hits. Can probably make a career for himself off his eyes alone. He reads the QB impressively. Can move quickly enough to break up passes, limit scrambles. Hind length will help him get turnovers and coverage. In terms of weaknesses, though, he has a bit of an uncoordinated movement style. Wasn't fast enough to be a corner at the next level, so he gets kicked to safety. Athleticism will be questioned for that reason alone. Bit tight hip, could stand to be more flexible in turn and coverage. Downhill mover and run defense. Blitzing is sluggish. Skinny, has a difficult time disengaging from blocks if they're made on the move. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Josh Evans of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Overall, a lot of things like out of Jalen's game. Has a few athletic limitations, but I still think maybe someone a solid depth for sure. So the next player we're going to go over here, hailing out of USC, standing 5'10", weighing 198 pounds. We got Bishop Fitzgerald. So for Bishop's strengths, it's safe to say that he's one of the best cover safeties in this class. Has ball production every single year going back to junior college, and is adept at tracking the ball. Leaps extremely well, uses leverage effectively to get in front of the wide receiver. Absolutely awesome closing on a pass, great hands obviously. As the interception leader, also incredible tempo when he keeps up with the routes he tracks. Has loose hips that help him when he needs to man up, and impressive body control. Athleticism seems much improved year to year. Great agility, great change of direction. In terms of weaknesses, though, his tackling needs some work. Likes to do these big leaping tackles that result in misses. He's on the ground too much. Isn't super great at recovery. Bit skinny. Has a hard time stopping and running out support. Not a lot of muscle on the frame. Sometimes it shows when he's trying to wrap up. Doesn't really show versatility. Likely exclusively a free safety that doesn't do much in the box. The lacking versatility might result in lower draft prospects. Lower likelihood of sticking around if he just becomes a depth piece. In terms of NFL comparisons, he's been compared to Xavier Watts of the Atlanta Falcons. Overall, a lot of things to like out of Bishop's game. A few things to clean up that are pretty minor, but I think someone to keep an eye on for sure. And the final safety, the final player in the secondary, the final player we're going to go over in this video. We have hailing out of SMU, standing 5'10", weighing 205 pounds. We got Ahmad Moses. So for Ahmad's strength, smooth hips, transition, and coverage, allows fluid transitions when he has to flip and adjust. Reads passing concepts effectively as the last line of defense. Timing closes on passing lanes, creating turnovers. Legit ball skills demonstrated with 8 career interceptions, including 2 returned for touchdowns. In terms of weaknesses, though, he lacks exceptional size or speed, limiting his ceiling as a starting free safety. Recovery speed inadequate, chasing down vertical threats. Run support's weak, frequently takes poor angles, projecting to miss too many tackles if he's asked to take on significant snaps. Doesn't get proper depth and drops, becoming too locked in the QB's eyes. Mixes solid tackles offset by enough misplays, raising concerns about contributing effectively at the next level. In terms of his NFL comparison, he's been compared to Christopher Smith in the New York Jets. Overall, a lot of things to like out of Ahmad's game, but a lot of things to clean up on. But, maybe someone to keep an eye on under the right coaching. And that'll wrap it up for this Detroit Lions 2026 NFL Draft Preview. So definitely quite a few names to keep an eye on for defensive back and safety depth in day 3 of the draft. As that's will most likely be the day the Lions most likely would look at possibly addressing safety or corner. Since the Lions need desperate help on defensive back depth for sure. With how much it got shot to shit the last couple years. And that actually wraps it up for all the Detroit Lions draft previews. This is it. This was the last one. So yeah, that wraps up for draft previews. I do got a couple other draft videos I plan on doing, to revisiting the 2021 draft video. And I'm thinking I am going to be doing a mock draft for round 1 for every team. Since I've never actually done that for every team before. So I'm going to go over it and give my best thoughts on what every team should target at their pick in the first round. And that will be with no trades, but of course I'll go over the rules for that when that video comes out. So yeah, that wraps up for the draft previews for 2026. I enjoy doing these previews for everybody. I hope you all enjoyed these previews, I have fun doing these previews to try and give my best thoughts on all the prospects and who the Lions should keep an eye on for the draft coming in. But yeah, anyway, that'll wrap it up for this. Hope you all enjoyed it. And the draft previews, I hope to be doing this in 2027. But anyway, that wraps it up here. That's all I got to say. Hope everyone enjoyed the draft previews for 2026. Hope everyone's a great day. And I'll see you all whatever I make next. I'm out.